I've been testing commanders for 7 years, and when a new commander shows up, I've learned to have a healthy amount of skepticism about how they'll perform. Of course, I'm excited, and of course, I'm hopeful, but I try to make sure that the tests I run get you the best information possible. Doesn't mean I'm always right, but today we're going to go over what we learned about Hector. And after seeing lots of hype for how he might perform in the garrison, I was hopeful, in a way. I was also kind of hopeful I wouldn't have to max another commander because I just maxed Tokugawa. Ain't no way this open fielder is also meta in the garrison, right? And so we ran a bunch of tests to figure that out. Now, for those of you just tuning in, let me talk about the methodology. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Subscribers know that they can just use the timestamps, jump ahead to whatever part they like. But with regard to the methodology for testing today, we went into Ark of Osiris and we did a custom match. We did what's called a balanced test. Oh, I got to name this thing. Sample balance test. Sample balance T. Oh my gosh. Okay, sample. With the capitalization all blundered. All right. Sample. Okay. So we go into the settings, and the way we do this is we flip over to balance mode. Now, why do I like balance mode? Everybody has the same building blocks. Often in a test that is not balance mode, the level of effort that is required to ensure that both sides have truly equivalent armaments, truly equivalent equipment, truly everything is apples to apples is not done. And it's hard to do. And you make mistakes. I would know I've made them. So in balance mode, everything is pretty much evened out. The only thing you got to think about is, what like 5% buff am I going to pop? Or 10% if you were feeling spicy, feeling like wasting some gems, all right, to get a perhaps slightly more accurate result. All right, that's true. So I like balance mode. And the other thing that the devs did, which is an absolute W, but like, it's so funny, like just a slight tweaking of the language here, and they really would have like claimed their victory with these incredible changes to Ark of Osiris testing. So default is the 100% default enhancement of damage you get in Ark of Osiris. So this is titled Lost Kingdom buffs, but what they really mean is like buff selections. And then you could select Ark of Osiris buffs, which you would uncheck. And what we checked is the Crystal Tech buffs and the past glory damage. Okay. You definitely get a different result if you have default checked. Like 100% all damage just throws things off in really crazy ways. I still think they are directionally correct in many cases, but due to the sort of nature of diminishing returns, depending on what commander you're testing and the way that the combat formulas work, it is my understanding that some commanders are more influenced than others. As an example, Philip does a damage buff, which I think experiences some amount of diminishing return the more all damage you have. I don't actually know. So I just want to be careful what I say there. But if you want to emulate a KVK situation, this is it exactly. Crystal Tech, Past Glory, W. We got there. Balance mode is interesting though. Now in balance mode, the weirdness is that you don't have the iconic tiers on equipment. So there are actually stats you're missing, which definitely could impact the outcome. You don't have talents. That is true. And you don't have iconic tiers, which could also impact the outcome. Now, the iconic tiers mostly impact cavalry because of Delta formation and specifically Butterfly, wherein with Butterfly, you're going to do a boost to combo damage dealt, but more importantly, you can trigger effects that trigger from launching a basic attack more frequently, and it's very meaningful, this enhancement, so it does get meaningfully more out of tier 5 iconic accessories as an example. But the great news is that's not what we were testing, and it's kind of irrelevant. In fact, I would argue it's almost entirely irrelevant to what we needed to do, because what we went in and we did is we said, hey, what's better, Gorgo with Toku or Gorgo with Hector? Is Hector good in the garrison or not? And if he is, we should see it in the results. And we made the best situation possible. What is that best situation? Obviously, it's mono troop. Because if you're doing mixed troops, you must want to lose KVK. Like, I've been saying this for a long time, and I've had people come back to me and be like, Chisgule, you were so right. We wanted to lose KVK. We were using mixed troops. Now that I've mono trooped, I see how much better it is. I learned this ages ago, back in the 1254 days when we were defending a pass for whatever this is worth. And we had like a set of gear for one thing, but we were filling whatever because it was the end of the KVK and we were invading Kingsland like a bunch of assholes because we were assholes that would just never give up. And we're invading Kingsland. They had no expectation it was coming, so we took a pass. We had lost that KVK. It was, I think, the free-for-all one. This was against 365 way back in the day. And I just remember we were putting other troop types in, and we got so shit on. We got dumpstered in that trade. And I will forever remember just how terrible it is to put anything other than the correct troop type into a garrison. We got effed up, and we didn't care because, like, we were zeroing cities in Kingsland and people random ported in and we're messing shit up and swarming cities and KVK was over, so nobody cared. But we got so dumpstered in that trade. And and it's not like we weren't trying, okay? So I will forever remember just how bad it is to use mixed troops when you aren't actually able to support mixed troops. What are the ways you're not able to support mix? Your equipment might not support it. Your commander's skills might not support it. The talents might not support it. This is all a long form way of saying I wanted to give Hector the absolute best chance of slapping, getting a big fat W. So we went mono infantry, okay? Because that's what was so hyped up. Gorgo Hector. Everybody was saying it's the GOAT, it's the best, blah, blah, blah. Well, if it's going to be good, then with a mono troop configuration with the talents you see here, it should slap, okay? Because I know Hold the Line doesn't work with mixed, but these talents, Kingsguard, are not particularly good compared to, in my opinion, Hold the Line and the other alternatives you can do here when you mono troop. So this is the build we went for, okay? Build definitely matters. Talents matter when you're testing. A difference in talents could explain a difference in results, but we tried to give Hector the absolute best chance, okay? Now, I will flash on screen the talents for the rally lead. The rally that we used was the new archer with Ashurbanipal. I'll have those talents on screen. We used SA with Wallace. You could argue that there's alternatives you could use as a secondary that will be better, but the point is to compare how does Hector do versus how does Tokugawa do. And we also used Attila with Subutai, all right? Attila with Subutai. Now, you're like, oh, Chisgule, you don't have yours geared up. Yeah, we weren't. I just was the garrison, okay? So all I did was put Gorgo in the garrison. So this was the gear we used. We used a horn on everything, rallies, garrisons, everything had a horn. And then we picked the accessory we thought would best support whatever they were doing. So whether that was a Greatest Glory or whatever. In a real rally garrison situation, you might not use a horn because you're worried about swarming. Your talents might be a little different because you're worried about swarming. It's all true, okay? That's all true, but that affects the rally and the garrison, so we just kept it equal, all right? We kept everything we could equal, which is why we're doing a balance test to try to suss out the result. Now, I want to tell you that a sample size of 1, okay, which is kind of what we did, is not statistically significant. And it drives me insane when people try to represent results as if they are the final thing, must be true, with only 1 sample. So I don't want to do that, but I want to show you what we did. And it takes a long ass time to do anything when you don't have that 100% all damage boost in ARC, even though we just sat there and we ran it down. Okay, so here is Shapur Ashurbanipal into Gorgo Hector. We lost. GG. Get wrecked, Hector. But what's the differential in the Sev wounds here? How much did we lose by? We lost by about 46,000. Okay. Now, we also lost with Tokugawa, but we lost by way less. We lost by what? 24 and a half? Something like that? Mental math, I struggle with it. Streamer math, streamer brain, old man Chisgule. But call me crazy, but Toku did better. That's a better trade. That's a better differential. All right, I mean, hey, sample size of 1. Let's not overthink it. So we ran the next thing. All right. Hey, let's send some infantry at this. Send the infantry, baby. Now, hey, this is the point where I should mention in a balance test, civilization matters. Cortex is Germany. I'm Germany. Theoretically, the rally would benefit a little more by having all damage. and some stats as well, potentially, if we were switching things up all the time. But the key is that we're consistent all the way throughout. So there is some difference. Now, the garrison would also get a benefit. You would be Greece for 5% health, which is not nothing for what it's worth. Although you'd have 5% all damage for this rally and 5% health. So just, it's another factor absolutely worth keeping in mind. It's not perfect. We're just trying to get some apples to apples up in here, all right? So what's the difference? We lost. Damn. Hector lost again. About 13,000 Sev wound difference. But with Toku? Wait, Toku won. Wait, hold up. Toku won. Wait, Hector lose. Toku win. Winning by how much? We're looking at, what, 36,000? That's a pretty big differential. 13K loser to 36K winner. Also, freaking Ruz trying to get these reports, got his one troops in there. Nerfing our garrison report. Gosh darn it. Love you, Ruz. All right, so that's what we got so far. Toku, 2, Hector, 0. And we ran it another one. Another one. So on the Cavs. Cavs, bro. I mean, we kind of knew this was going to happen. The Cavs really do need the iconic tiers, but that's not the point. In fact, not having all those triggerable things brings us a far more consistent result, although not as realistic, in fairness. In fairness, you need a much bigger sample size if you're going to be running all that stuff. But whatever. What's the difference here? Is what, 97,000? Ugh. Is it more than? Yeah, no, it's about something like that, right? About 97,000 difference. Jeez. Almost 96,000? Whatever. Mental math. I'll put it all up on there. We got a better result over here too with Tokugawa. Ruz. We got a better Love you, bro. We got a better result over here. Once again. So, would I max Hector for garrison? No. And based on the testing I did, would I max Hector for open field? No. I'm not yet sure what he's here for, to be honest with you. Now, that could 100% just be me being a dumbass. And also, it could be that in real KVK situations, you can make a trade well. But now, I'm going to leave you with a lingering question. And you may not like this one, but now, every time you look at one of your Hector garrison reports, you're going to wonder, would it have been better if I had just used Toku? Now, maybe you're using mixed troops, and maybe you're in that situation where you just have to. You just have to. People are struggling. It's a real struggle. Cortex said that the role of mixed troops, and I may be misquoting, is to use Hera, use YSS, Hollow Square, I think ideally, and you're just trying to live. You're trying to hold on. You're trying to save a flag in Kingsland, and you don't use Hector in that situation. So anyways, I'm just going to throw it out there. You got the former king of 1960 who's saying, don't use Hector. They won Arc League for whatever it's worth. So you got the leader, winner of a leading Arc League team and former king of 1960 who says, I don't think Hector's where it's at. You got Chisgule Gaming, the bozo, saying, I don't know about this Hector fellow. Okay, I predicted it in my tier list, and then we saw that in the testing. So you can make your choices, but I mean, maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. What I see here is Hector's not doing better. So I don't know why I'm going to max him. Yup. Now, we also goofed around here. This test, I'll show it to you. You can watch it in stream. Hera Hector in this context versus a rally did do better, but Cortex has assured me that in an actual arc context, you would not want to use this. You would prefer this over here. So even for like an actual arc situation, we were just putzing around at this point. We honestly should have done another trial of one of these tests, but at this point we were kind of like, I don't know, man, we've seen what we need to see, like 3 for 3 on this. But yeah, all that to say, maybe there is some future pairing for Hector where it's like, wow, There it is. But from a commander design standpoint, the thing that's intuitive and I think easy to see, even at a glance, is that he doesn't actually do anything in particular. And that's his issue. Like, just, bro, like, do literally something. Like pick a thing and do the thing. And then you've got a commander that is like, you can min-max with. But I can't do any fancy echelon stuff with him, which, by the way, has been what leadership has been all about. Trajan's all about buffing. Philip's all about buffing. This guy over here, what are we doing? Okay, what are we doing? I don't know. Okay, single target damage. Basically, if you see a single target damage commander, they have got to be so much damage to be viable in the open field. Otherwise, they're dead on arrival. So you got somebody who is single target damage, which is dead on arrival, with some amount of AoE buffing / debuffing, but it's so little you can't do anything with it that's meaningful with Echelon. I mean, maybe there's a play here. I just haven't figured it out. Maybe what I'm supposed to do is actually just like fill up Hector and like, would that even, the Echelon wouldn't even do anything here for him. Nearby enemy troops deal less damage. That's a debuff. Echelon has to do with buffs. So I just can't figure it out. And even as a gap fill with Cavs, he was just okay, but he wasn't amazing. Like, if he was going to be amazing, he's got single target damage. Like, he needs to be winning duels. He's got single target damage. So, yeah, I couldn't figure it out, man. And again, it could just be that I'm dumb, and I'll take it on the chin if that's true. That's fine. But I don't know. We put a lot of thought. We put a lot of energy. Big shout out to everybody on stream, by the way. We did a community stream. People rolled up. They tested. They participated. Everybody followed along. Nobody blundered the test. Huge win. Shout out Cortex. You can check out his YouTube channel I think it's at Cortex Rock, but I'll have a link in the description. And also Ruz dropped in from the King's Codex. I'll put the results on screen. He tallied them up, which is hugely helpful. He's got a Discord server you can go check out. Also his bot to my Discord server, discord.gg/Chisgule. So you can ask it questions. You can go register for events and it'll notify you about those events. Or maybe that's just in his Discord server. I don't know if his bot does that. But like, theoretically more than Gems is this weekend. Might not be because of the Hector and Achilles events going on, but if it is, I found out from the bot in the King's Codex telling me. So if you really want to go for Hector, then I guess try to combine the gem spending that we might get from a More Than Gems this weekend with the old Trojan treasures. Hey, talk about a double dip. Am I right? Now, I'm not going to say talk about value because Hector's got to be good for that to be value. And I'm not there. I want him to be good. There's no one on the face of the earth who wants him to be good more than me, by the way. I don't know if you realize this, right? But like, for those of you that haven't heard me lament my dead end investment over here, there is no human on the face of the earth who wants him to be better than me, right? Like I make my gear that was so important in meta once upon a time, meta again, please. No one wants him to be good more than me. And here we are. And I'm not seeing it. All right. So there you go. I don't understand his design. Couldn't find a way for him to be good. But people will use him in KVK and maybe he will be. And in the back of my mind, every time I see a report, I'll be like, but would it have been better if you had Toku? You enjoyed the vid? Throw a like on here, subscribe. Go check out the live stream if you want to see exactly what happened. I mean, don't take my word for it. Like, just boom, just watch. Decide for yourself. Did we mess it up? Maybe we did. I'll update the pinned comment if we did blunder in some way or my thoughts change. And I appreciate your support, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate you. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. Take care, everybody.